This video is about the mom took her kids to the city square and a rich stranger started a conversation. If this story touches your heart, please mention where you are watching from in the comments. Please like the video and share your thoughts in comments. The sun hung high above the city square, bathing the cobblestones in a golden hue, as if the universe had decided to spotlight this particular moment. A soft breeze rustled through the trees, the scent of fresh pastries wafting from a nearby stall mingling with the laughter of children playing in the park. Among them was Emma, a single mother in her early 30s, balancing the demands of motherhood and the yearning for her own dreams. Dressed in a floral sundress that swayed with the wind, she was a picture of warmth and resilience. Beneath the surface, however, was a whirlwind of worries, bills piling up, a job that barely paid enough, and a longing for something more than the routine of her life. Her two children, 10-year-old Lucy and 8-year-old Max, zoomed around her like little fireflies, their laughter a sweet melody that often lifted her spirits. "Mom, can we get ice cream?" Lucy asked, her wide, innocent eyes sparkling with excitement. "Please, Mom, I want chocolate." Max chimed in, tugging at her dress with his small, impatient hands. Emma knelt down to their level, a smile breaking through her thoughts. "All right, but just one scoop each, then we'll all find a bench and watch the street performers." "Yay," the kids cheered, racing off toward the ice cream cart. As Emma walked behind them, she took a moment to breathe in the vibrancy of the square. Street musicians played soulful tunes, couples strolled hand in hand, and clusters of friends gathered to share laughter. It was a world that felt both welcoming and daunting. "2 chocolate cones, please," Max declared, practically bouncing on his toes as he handed over some crumpled bills. Lucy, meanwhile, had her eyes set on the rainbow sprinkles that seemed to call out to her. "And one with sprinkles, Mom, can I?" "Of course, sweetheart." Emma's heart warmed at their enthusiasm, but as she fumbled through her purse to pay, a lingering doubt crept in. Was she giving them too much? A part of her felt guilty for wanting to indulge them, knowing she had to tighten her budget again this month. She shook off the feeling, reminding herself that these moments were fleeting. Life already seemed to move too quickly. With ice cream cones in hand, the trio found a bench under the shade of a large oak tree. They settled in, laughter spilling from their lips as they enthusiastically devoured their treats, each lick revealing their delight. "Mom, look at that guy," Lucy exclaimed, pointing toward a striking man standing on the opposite side of the square. He was impeccably dressed in a tailored navy suit, holding a briefcase, and exuding an air of confidence that drew attention effortlessly. Emma glanced over, momentarily captivated. The man, probably in his late 30s, had deep-set eyes that seemed to capture the hues of the sky, and his dark hair was neatly styled. As he scanned the crowd, their eyes met briefly, and Emma felt a curious flutter in her stomach, one that was all too foreign after years of single-handedly raising her children. "Do you think he is a movie star?" Max asked, his voice breaking through her reverie. "Or maybe a prince," Lucy added, giggling. Emma chuckled softly. "Or just a businessman. Everyone has their story, even if we can't see it." But the tension lingered, the man's gaze still on her. He shifted slightly, adjusting his tie, and she felt a rush of warmth envelop her, her cheeks betraying the intrigue that stirred within her. Just then, the stranger stepped closer, an unexpected smile spreading across his face as he approached their bench. "Excuse me," he said, his voice smooth and rich like dark chocolate. "I couldn't help but notice your kids. They seem to be enjoying their ice cream quite a bit." "Yes, they love it," Emma replied, her heart racing, half flattered and half nervous. "I am just trying to keep up with their demand." The man chuckled, his eyes twinkling with amusement as he crouched down to match their level. "I can't blame them. Ice cream can make a day in the city feel like a mini vacation." "Are you from around here?" Emma ventured, trying to keep her composure while her mind raced with questions about this intriguing stranger. Wealthy man in a suit, probably on a lunch break, she mentally critiqued herself, suddenly feeling the weight of her worn-out sandals and the frayed edges of her floral dress. He extended a hand toward her. "I am Nathaniel, just visiting for work, and it seems I stumbled upon the best part of the day." "Emma," she replied, shaking his hand. His grip was firm yet gentle, and she felt an unexpected spark surge through her. "And these two are my kids, Lucy and Max." "Nice to meet you both," Nathaniel said, flashing a warm smile that lit up his face. "What have you got there?" He pointed toward Max's chocolate cone. "Chocolate." Max beamed, showing off his treat like a trophy. "Good choice, classic and delicious," Nathaniel nodded approvingly. "Do you think I could borrow a bite to revive my day?" Max giggled and promptly offered his cone to Nathaniel, who took a playful lick. That is good. You, my friend, have great taste. Lucy scrunched her nose, her protective instincts kicking in. But you have to give it back. Fair enough, Nathaniel laughed, returning the cone. I wouldn't dare take your precious ice cream. Emma watched them interact, a warm smile breaking her usual reserve. She could see the natural chemistry between Nathaniel and her children, and it stirred something within her yearning for connection for a moment outside of her everyday struggles. Do you always hang out in the city with ice cream? Nathaniel asked Emma, his gaze lingering just a moment too long, as if searching for something deeper. Only when I can find the time, she admitted, feeling the intensity of his stare. It is a treat for us, a little escape. Finding time is the real trick, isn't it? He replied, the undertone hinting at shared understandings adept to their conversation. What do you do when you're not playing ice cream wafers? I am a freelance graphic designer, she said, surprised at her own openness. It gives me the flexibility to juggle life, but it can be hard to land consistent project. Sounds challenging, he acknowledged, his expression shifting to one of genuine concern. It is brave of you to forge your own path, especially with 2 kids. And I felt the warmth spread through her. Thank you, they can be tough, but I love being their mom. Just then, Lucy interjected, her voice bright. Mom is the best at making our school projects look awesome. Emma chuckled, a mix of pride and embarrassment flooding her cheeks. Well, I try to help out when I can. Nathaniel grinned, leaning in slightly. That is a talent worth celebrating. You re not just a mom, you re an artist. Flattery will get you everywhere, Emma replied, her heart racing. But it is true that art has always been a big part of my life. Then I'd love to see some of your work someday, he said, his voice lowering, creating a palpable tension between them. We could compare notes. Emma stammered, caught off guard. Did he really mean that? The thought sent a flutter through her chest. Hey, Mom, can we go see the magician? Max interrupted, pulling her back to reality. Of course. Emma replied, her heart sinking a little at the interruption. She wanted to stay in this moment to explore whatever chemistry was building between her and Nathaniel. Maybe I'll catch up with you later, Nathaniel said, his eyes glimmering with promise. I'd love to hear more about your art. Sure, Emma replied, her voice steadier than she felt. See you around. As they walked away, a nagging doubt began to creep in. What if she had misread the moment? Did he really want to talk again, or was he just being polite? She forced herself not to dwell on it, focusing instead on Lucy and Max's excited chatter about the magician's tricks. But as they left the square, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that this day had shifted something within her, awakening a part she had long forgotten. A part that craved connection, adventure, and perhaps a chance to dream again. And in the back of her mind, she wondered if that charming stranger might be the beginning of something new, something she dared not imagine. As Emma, Lucy, and Max made their way to the magician's performance, the lively energy of the city square buzzed round them like a drumbeat. Emma couldn't help but steal glances back at Nathaniel, who had remained standing, watching them walk away. She caught his eye one last time, and he raised his eyebrows, a hint of a smile playing at the corners of his mouth. The moment stretched just a second longer, and Emma felt a flutter of anticipation. Mom, can I sit up front? Max pulled at her arm, his eagerness palpable. Sure, buddy, just stay close, she replied, attempting to shake off her lingering thoughts of Nathaniel. The magician's stage was set beneath a colorful awning, with a growing crowd already forming around it. As the kids wriggled into position, Emma settled onto a bench a few feet behind them. The magician, a wiry man with a twinkle in his eyes, began his performance with a flourish. He pulled rabbits from top hats, made coins disappear, and called volunteers from the audience. Laughter erupted from the crowd, and for a moment Emma was grateful for the distraction. But as she watched Lucy's delighted face, the joy in the moment clashed with her internal musings about Nathaniel. Was it foolish to hope for something more? She had become so accustomed to her life revolving around her children that the thought of dating again felt both thrilling and terrifying. There were so many variables, her responsibilities, the kids, the scars of past relationships. Mom, did you see that? Lucy exclaimed, clapping her hands as the magician turned the scarf into a bouquet of flowers. Can we do magic tricks at home? Absolutely, we'll have our magic show, Emma promised, forcing her thoughts back to her children. I'll even get a top hat. Mom, you can be the magician, and I'll be your assistant. Max shouted, bubbling over with excitement. Emma chuckled at their enthusiasm, but her heart still raced with the memory of Nathaniel's gaze. Just then, the magician called for another volunteer. "Someone who looks like they could use a good laugh," he called out, scanning the crowd. As she turned to look, she was startled to see Nathaniel stepping forward, a playful smirk on his face as he accepted the invitation. The crowd cheered, and Emma felt a heat rise to her cheeks as he caught her eye again. He walked confidently to the front, his presence commanding attention amidst the laughter and applause. Who knew he was into magic? She whispered to herself, half amused, half intrigued. The magician asked Nathaniel to hold a large, colorful balloon. "Now, let us see if we can turn this handsome gentleman into a bird," he exclaimed, and the crowd roared with laughter. Nathaniel played along, feigning surprise as the magician dramatically waved his hands and made the balloon pop with a loud bang. The crowd erupted into applause, and Nathaniel, laughing along, took a deep bow. Emma couldn't help but admire how effortlessly he fit into the moment, connecting with everyone around him. "Mom, can we be just like them?" Max asked, his eyes gleaming with admiration. "I want to be funny and cool like that guy." Emma glanced back at Nathaniel, who was still smiling, enjoying the moment. "You already are, sweetheart," she assured him, her heart swelling with pride. "You just need a little magic." But as the performance continued, a sense of melancholy tinged her excitement. This day felt like a bright oasis in her routine, but she couldn't ignore the reality waiting for her back home. Bills, work, and the weight of responsibilities loomed over her like dark clouds. She glanced down at Lucy and Max, their joy so innocent and pure, and reminded herself why she fought so hard for them. As the magician concluded his act with a spectacular flourish, the crowd erupted into applause. Nathaniel was swept into the excitement, and Emma felt a pang of envy at the ease with which he interacted with others. He was captivating, a world away from her own life. With the performance end, Lucy and Max clamored for ice cream again, their Ella cones barely finished. "Can we get seconds?" Lucy pleaded, her eyes wide with hope. "Okay, but just a small one this time," Emma relented, her heart lifting at their enthusiasm. As they made their way toward the cart, Emma caught sight of Nathaniel weaving his way through the crowd. He spotted them just as she was about to turn away, and their eyes locked. The corners of his mouth turned up in a boyish smile, and for a moment, the noise of the square faded into the background. "Glad to see you remaking the most of the day," he called over, his voice warm and inviting. "Just following my little magicians," Emma replied, motioning to her children, who were now clamoring for more ice cream. He stepped closer, his presence solid and comforting. "Are they going to be the next great entertainers?" he asked, crouching down to their level. "I want to make people laugh," Max declared, still buzzing from the magician's tricks. "And I want to make magic," Lucy chimed in, her eyes sparkling. "I think you both have it in you," Nathaniel said, his gaze shifting back to Emma. "What about you? Any hidden talents you'd like to share?" Emma felt her cheeks warm under his scrutiny. "I can juggle sort of if you can't keeping up with two kids," she joked, hiding her nerves behind a smile. "Juggling kids is a serious talent," Nathaniel replied, his tone serious yet playful. "And you seem to be doing a fantastic job." "Thanks," she said softly, feeling a warmth in her chest. "But it is a lot of work, and I sometimes feel like I am barely keeping my head above water." He nodded, genuine empathy in his gaze. "I can imagine. You seem like a very dedicated mother. That is admirable." Emma's heart fluttered at his words. It was rare for her to receive compliments like that, especially from someone who seemed so far removed from her everyday reality. It can be overwhelming, but moments like this make it worth it. "Would you ever take a break, just for yourself?" Nathaniel asked, his voice low and sincere, almost as if he was genuinely concerned. Emma hesitated, the truth weighing heavily on her tongue. "I don't know if I can. I am always on the go, always juggling. What if I step away and something goes wrong?" "What if stepping away is what you need?" he challenged gently, his eyes searching hers. "I haven't really thought of it that way," she admitted, feeling a mix of fear and longing. "I guess I need to find a balance." Nathaniel held her gaze for a moment longer, the world around them fading into a blur. There was a depth in his expression that made her heart race, a connection felt fragile yet profound. "Can I ask you something?" he said, his tone turning serious. "What would you do if you had a day to yourself? No responsibilities, just you." Emma's breath hitched, and for the first time, she allowed herself to dream. "I'd probably go to an art exhibit or take a long walk along the river, maybe even write," she mused, her voice barely above a whisper. "Writing? I didn't know you were a writer too," he said, intrigued. "Not really, just a hobby, more like scribbles, but it feels good to let it out," she confessed. "You should share it," he encouraged, his sincerity palpable. Life is too short to keep your talents hidden away. Emma felt her heart race at his encouragement, mixed with a hint of doubt. Maybe one day. Promise me you will, he insisted, his eyes earnest. I'll think about it, she replied, holding his gaze, feeling a spark of hope ignite within her. Good, I'll be waiting for that art exhibition, he said, his half-smile returning, and she couldn't help but mirror it. But just as she began to lose herself in the moment, Lucy and Max returned, ice cream cones in hand, their laughter piercing through the tension. Look, Mum, we got sprinkles. Lucy squealed, her joy infectious. Can you help me make mine look like a volcano? Max asked, his face smeared with chocolate and excitement. Yes, of course, my little volcanologist. Emma laughed, breaking the spell. Nathaniel stood, watching the interaction, his expression softening. You have quite the little team here, he said, admiration in his voice. Thanks, she replied, her cheeks warming again. They keep me on my toes. Maybe I should get some tips from you on managing the chaos, he joked, a glimmer of mischief in his eyes. Chaos is my specialty, Emma teased back, feeling lighter as the banter flowed naturally. I am sure you are the best at it, he replied, his gaze lingering on her. But remember to make some time for yourself, you deserve it. I will, I'll try, she promised, her heart swelling with an unfamiliar warmth. I'll hold you to that, he said, flashing a playful smirk. As he turned to leave, Emma felt a sudden wave of disappointment wash over her. Wait, Emma called out, her breath catching in her throat as Nathaniel prepared to step away. It felt too soon to end this interaction, the weight of their conversation lingered like a sweet promise dangling in the air. He glanced over his shoulder, those deep-set eyes searching hers, a hint of curiosity playing at the corners of his mouth. Yes? I jested. She paused, brushing a stray hair behind her ear, gathering her thoughts. I didn't get your number. The words tumbled out, and she immediately felt a flush rise to her cheeks, as if she'd pushed the boundaries of decorum too far. Nathaniel's expression shifted, a spark of intrigue lighting up his features. Ah, so you do want to keep in touch. Is that presumptuous? Emma bit her lip, unsure if she had overstepped. I just thought after our conversation. It is not presumptuous at all, he replied, taking a step closer, his voice low. I'd be disappointed if you didn't. Her heart raced at the implication, and despite the playful atmosphere around them, a seriousness settled in. Okay then, she said, pulling her phone from her pocket, her fingers trembling slightly. How about you give me your number? Sure. Nathaniel took out his own phone, and as they exchanged contact information, there was a strange sense of intimacy in the act. She felt a rush of exhilaration mixed with trepidation. What did it mean to connect like this after so long? Got it, he said, tucking his phone away. I'll send you a message so you have mine. Emma nodded, her mind racing. Sounds good, I'll look forward to it. And I hope to hear about that art exhibition, he added, his gaze steady. Remember, you promised. I will, she assured him, her heart pounding. When I find the courage. Nathaniel smiled, a genuine warmth radiating from him. Courage is a process, just take it one step at a time. As they shared a lingering look, an unspoken understanding passed between them, thick with the potential of possibilities. Just then, Lucy called out, her voice cutting through the moment. Mom, can we go see the playground next? Yes, let us go. Emma replied, breaking eye contact with Nathaniel reluctantly. She turned to her children, trying to push aside the fluttering excitement within her. Have fun with the little ones, Nathaniel said as he stepped back, yet remained rooted in place, a hint of reluctance in his posture. Maybe I'll run into you again? Maybe, Emma said, her voice barely above a whisper, the weight of her unspoken wishes filling the space between them. Take care, Emma. You too, Nathaniel. With that, he turned to leave, but Emma felt a pang of longing as she watched him walk away. She knew it was irrational to feel such a strong connection with someone she had just met, yet the moments they shared felt too precious to dismiss. Mom, can we go now? Max tugged at her sleeve, his ice cream smudged across his cheek, oblivious to the tension that had just transpired. Yes, let us go, she replied, shaking off the thoughts of Nathaniel as they headed toward the playground. As they neared the swings, laughter bubbled up in her chest, the joy of her children infectious. They raced ahead, eager to climb and swing, their carefree spirits lifting the weight of her earlier emotions. Mom, push me, Max shouted, swinging his legs in anticipation. Okay, hold on tight, Emma replied, stepping closer to give him a gentle push. The world around her faded as she lost herself in the rhythm of their play, each brush releasing a burst of laughter that echoed across the playground. But in the back of her mind, Nathaniel lingered, an unshakable presence. She couldn't help but feel that their paths had crossed for a reason. There was a depth to him that intrigued her, a glimpse of something extraordinary just beneath the surface. "Lucy, come on, your turn," Max called, jumping off the swing and running toward the slide. But Emma couldn't shake the feeling that a piece of her was still with Nathaniel, suspended in that charged moment they shared. "Mom, are you coming?" Lucy's voice broke through her thoughts. "Yes, I am right here," Emma called back, her heart lifting as she joined her children at the slide. And yet, the thrill of the day began to ebb, replaced by a heavier realization of her responsibilities. The sweet escape of the city square faded into the background, and reality settled back in. After a while, Emma settled on a nearby bench, watching her children play, but beneath her smile lay a familiar heaviness. The juxtaposition of joy and worry was all too familiar. "Mom, look at this!" Lucy exclaimed, climbing to the top of the jungle gym. "Be careful," Emma warned, a small frown creasing her brow. "I can do it," Lucy declared proudly, raising her hands in victory as she reached the top. As her children reveled in their victory, Emma caught sight of Nathaniel again, standing off to the side, chatting with a group of business people. He glanced over at her, his eyes meeting hers once more. It was a brief moment, just a flicker of recognition, but her heart raced again. What did it mean that he kept crossing her path? The thought made her giddy and anxious at once. "Mom, can we go home now?" Max asked, panting slightly as he joined her on the bench. "Are you tired?" she asked, brushing a hand over his sweaty hair. "Not really, but my ice cream is gone," he replied, looking up at her with those big brown eyes that mirrored her own. "All right, we can head home," Emma said, glancing again at Nathaniel, who was now laughing with his companions. A pang of disappointment washed over her as she turned away, filled with a sense of urgency to leave and yet wishing she could linger just a little longer. "Let us go, Lucy," Emma called, pulling herself to her feet. As they made their way out of the playground, she felt a familiar wave of guilt wash over her. Was she selfish for wanting more from life than just being a mother? The desire to have something for herself, to reconnect with her dreams, felt like an internal battle. "Can we play magic at home?" Max asked, breaking into her thoughts. "Yes, my little magician," Emma replied, smiling down at him. "We can create our own magic show right in the living room." Lucy nodded enthusiastically, her hair bouncing as she skipped alongside them. "I want to make a disappearing act." "Perfect, and I'll be the audience," Emma said, feeling a warmth spread in her chest despite her uncertainty about her own future. As they left the park, the weight of Nathaniel's presence still lingered in her mind. The reality of her life pressed around her like a heavy shroud, but she couldn't help but dream of the possibilities. What if Nathaniel was more than just a fleeting moment? What if he represented the spark she had been missing? Once they reached home, the familiar routine enveloped her snacks, homework, and the chaos of bedtime. Yet, in the quiet moments between the laughter and the light, she found herself wondering about Nathaniel, replaying their conversation in her head. What would it be like to share her art, to finally embrace that part of herself she had tucked away? The thought both thrilled and terrified her. Later that night, as she tucked Max into bed, he looked up at her, those innocent eyes full of wonder. "Mom?" "Yes, sweetheart." "You think we'll see that guy again?" Emma hesitated, her heart fluttering at the mention of Nathaniel. "Maybe. He seemed nice, didn't he?" "Yeah, he's really funny," Max said, yawning as he pulled the blanket up to his chin. "Get some rest, my little magician," she whispered, brushing a kiss against his forehead. As she stepped out of the room, Emma felt a sense of hope blooming within her. Perhaps this was the moment she needed a chance to embrace the unknown, to take a leap of faith. That night, as she lay in bed, she couldn't shake the feeling that Nathaniel had stirred something inside her, a yearning for connection, for creativity, and for the chance to reclaim her dreams. With a deep breath, she pulled out her notebook from under her pillow, flipping to a fresh page. She began to write, the words flowing from her heart like an unshackled melody. In that moment, she decided that she would reach out to Nathaniel and let the promise of something new unfold. The doubts could wait. Tonight, she would embrace the magic of possibility. The next morning, with the sun streaming through the curtains, Emma felt a renewed sense of purpose. She had penned a few lines in her notebook, allowing her thoughts to flow freely, and for the first time in ages, she felt excited about what the day might bring. As she shuffled into the kitchen, she could hear Lucy and Max already bickering over who would get to choose the cereal. "Mom, Max is taking all the marshmallows," Lucy cried, her voice pitching up in indignation. I'm not, I am making a rainbow. Max shot back, his little hands cradling a bowl with more marshmallows than cereal. All right, Emma interjected, a smile creeping onto her lips despite the chaos. How about we share the marshmallows? They can be our special treat for breakfast. Max's eyes lit up. Okay, but I want the blue ones. And I want the pink ones, Lucy added, crossing her arms defiantly. Emma poured the cereal while stifling a laugh. You two are a pair of negotiators. Let us just have fun with it today. She stirred the cereal with a spoon, watching as the marshmallows bobbed like little colorful boats. As they settled at the table, Emma couldn't help but feel the weight of Nathaniel's presence from the previous day still lingering in her mind. The thought of him brought a flush to her cheeks, igniting a hope that she hadn't dared to entertain before. Mom, are we going to do our magic show today? Max asked, spooning cereal into his mouth, his face smeared with remnants of marshmallow dust. Yes, I promised, didn't I? Emma replied, her heart warming at his excitement. We can make our own magic hats too. Yay! Lucy clapped, her pigtails bouncing as she chewed. Can we make them sparkly? Sparkly it is. Emma grinned, her own enthusiasm growing. Now finish up your breakfast, and we'll gather our supplies from the craft box. As the morning unfolded, Emma found herself daydreaming about Nathaniel. Could she really reach out to him? Would he even be interested in seeing her art? She didn't want to come off as desperate or overly eager. After all, this was a new territory for her, one filled with possibilities but also with uncertainties. Yet the tenderness of the conversation, the way he leaned in, intent on understanding her, made her heartbeat quicken. It was an exhilarating sensation, akin to standing at the edge of a diving board, contemplating the leap into the unknown. Once breakfast was done, they cleared the table together, laughter echoing as they joked about who had the most cereal left to clean up. Afterward, they headed to the living room, where Emma spread out art supplies on the floor. Okay, my little magicians, let us get started. Max grabbed a stack of construction paper while Lucy rifled through the glitter. I want to make a hat that makes me disappear, she declared, her eyes sparkling with mischief. Emma laughed, watching as they both dived into their creativity with abandon. It was moments like this that filled her heart with gratitude, yet as she helped them cut out shapes, the temptation to whip out her phone and check for a message from Nathaniel gnawed at her. Mom, can you help me with this? Max held up a half-finished hat, his brow furrowed in concentration. Of course, Emma said, shaking off her daydreams. She leaned in, helping him glue on a colorful feather. If you wear this, you'll be the most magical magician in the world. As if sensing her distraction, Lucy chimed in, whereas that guy from yesterday, I liked him. Emma's heart quickened at the mention of Nathaniel. I am not sure, sweetheart. Maybe we'll see him again, she replied, trying to keep her tone light. Did he give you his number? Lucy asked innocently, her little fingers getting glue all over the table. Max's eyes widened with curiosity. Yeah, Mom, did he? Emma felt the rush of warmth and embarrassment flooding her cheeks. He did, but it doesn't mean anything special, kids. Sometimes people just connect for a moment and then go their separate ways. Oh, come on, Max said, rolling his eyes as he waved his glue stick dismissively. I think he liked you. Lucy nodded enthusiastically. Yeah, it was like a movie. Emma couldn't help but laugh, feeling a mix of amusement and embarrassment. Alright, enough of this topic, let's get back to your hats. As they crafted their hats, she tried to focus on their laughter, their joy, and the way their imagination soared. Yet in the back of her mind, the thought of Nathaniel lingered like an unfinished thought, teasing her with what could be. By early afternoon, after hours of crafting and laughter, they had created a colorful array of hats adorned with sparkles and feathers. Time for the show, Emma announced, clapping her hands together. Mom, you read the audience. Max declared, his voice full of authority. SHH, here comes the amazing magician, Max. Lucy said dramatically, her arms outstretched as if introducing a grand performer. Max took center stage, donning his hat proudly. He waved his hands dramatically before pretending to pull a bunny out of his imaginary hat. Ta-da, he announced, his expression priceless. Emma clapped enthusiastically, her heart racing with joy. Bravo, what a performance! Then it was Lucy's turn. She twirled in front of them, her hat sparkling in the sunlight. And now, I will make my mom disappear, she shouted, clearly thrilled at the idea. Wait, I don't want to disappear. Emma laughed, pretending to look alarmed. They went back and forth, each trying to outdo the other, their laughter echoing through the house. For a while, all thoughts of Nathaniel faded into the background, overtaken by the pure joy of being present with her children. However, as the day wore on, the exhilaration of the moment began to wane, and Emma found herself retreating into her thoughts once again. She glanced at her phone, hesitating for a moment before tapping the screen, pulling up the message app. What was stopping her? Deciding she needed to take the plunge, Emma began to write a message to Nathaniel. Hi Nathaniel, it's Emma from yesterday. Just wanted to say it was great meeting you. The kids and I had a blast at the park today. But before she could finish, her heart raced with uncertainty. Would he think she was too forward? Would he feel pressured? She stared at the screen, biting her lip. Mom, can you help us with the magic show poster? Lucy asked, breaking her concentration. Sure, let us make it the best poster ever. Emma replied, putting her phone down with a sigh. It was easier to focus on the moment at hand than to risk feeling vulnerable over a simple text. As they drew and colored, however, Emma felt the gnawing ache of wanting to connect with Nathaniel grow stronger. She wanted that depth in her life, someone who understood her not just as a mother but as Emma, the artist, the dreamer. Later that evening, after the kids were tucked in, Emma sat on her couch, holding her phone like a lifeline. Nathaniel was still fresh in her thoughts, and the uncertainty of whether to message him hung heavily in the air. Finally, with a deep breath, she opened his contact and typed, Maybe I was too bold. I hope you don't think I am desperate. Almost immediately, she could feel the butterflies in her stomach. What if he read it and felt pressured? Before she could talk herself out of it, she pressed send. Moments passed, and she felt a surge of nervous energy flow through her. Would he respond? What would he say? Just as the weight of her uncertainty began to settle in, her phone chimed. Hey Emma, great to hear from you. I am glad you all had fun. I enjoyed meeting you too. Your kids are incredible. I'd love to see some of your art sometime. A wave of exhilaration washed over her as she read the message. Not only had he responded, he had also kept the door open. Emma grinned, her heart racing as she typed back. Thank you. I'd love to share some art with you. I am working on a few pieces that I am really excited about. The conversation flowed smoothly, and soon they were exchanging stories about their favorite artists and inspirations. Emma felt the connection growing, like a soft thread weaving its way into her heart, binding her more closely to Nathaniel. Yet an undercurrent of fear remained. What if this connection was fleeting? What if she allowed herself to hope and it all crumbled? As they chatted late into the night, Emma felt a flicker of something she hadn't felt in years, a sense of possibility. Perhaps this was the beginning of something new. But as she lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, doubt began to creep back in.